All right, guys, welcome to episode 25 of the Different Animals podcast. It's your boy Tyler,
And I'm Ever Castro.
and today we're going to talk about what we've been watching, as usual. We're going to talk about Thanksgiving and the lack of what's the word I'm looking for here? Representation on film,
Hmm.
um, and talk about one revelation, innovative idea for media that has already shit the bed.
Yep.
But first, all right, so let's start with what we've been watching. So I believe I can't remember if this was before we recorded
Hmm.
or if it was. We mentioned it last time, but I think you said you were watching the House on Bly Manor, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yes. Yeah. So I finished up the Haunting of Bly Manor, which is the sequel to well, not the sequel per se, but it's the next series, I guess you could say.
Spiritual successor.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. For the Haunting of Hill House, which came out 2 years ago. And this one is also directed by the same guy, Mike Flanagan. Written, I think he's the showrunner, but I'm sure he wrote most of them. I actually don't know exactly how many he wrote, but it's the same 9 episodes.
Okay.
And then this one takes place in England, and it also takes place in the 80s. And so it is a little different than the last one, but it's similar in that it follows that American Horror Story format of having the same actors, but just have them playing different characters. There are new
Right.
actors, of course, just like with that series, and not everybody has a role from the previous one. But it is nice to be like, oh, look, there's that one from the previous series. And
So, how do
sorry.
you feel about that tactic? Like, do you have any like thoughts about it? Like, to me, it always felt like because I didn't watch a whole lot of American Horror Story. I watched maybe the first season, and then I
Mhm.
think I started the second and was like not really into it, so just kind
Yeah.
of bailed. But I know they continuously use the same actors, and it's like I don't know if it's just. I wonder what's the reason for it because like I know a lot of it seems like a lot of people that watch it use the same actors to like try and tie together
Mhm.
like the seasons that are like they're doing all this extra legwork to like make it all match up with like it's not the same person, but maybe it's this kid's great grandchild. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like it's like I wonder if they do that on purpose because they're like, nah, people just keep talking about it in the background even though none of it fucking connects. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes. Like yeah. Well, when they try to force it, yeah, I'm just like, but when it's like when they try to, I don't mind it. I didn't watch any of the American Horror Story series, um, so I personally don't have like a big strong opinion on it. I like
Right.
it in these two series just because it's sort of the actors were pretty good in the roles, right? Like I
Right.
didn't mind it. I wasn't like, oh wow, she sucks, or like, wow, this guy's amazing. It was like, wow, this guy's a pretty good actor. I'm glad he's back in it. Especially a few select ones. Um, but I personally don't find it distracting. Other than like the novelty of like, oh look, it's that lady from the previous one, that kind of
Right.
thing. Um, but I was thinking when you were talking about like, oh, it's this person's great great grandfather stuff. I always think about Tarantino because he does that shit, but he does it much more subtly.
Oh
Like he'll
yeah.
be like, this guy's name, his name is W.M. Kuntz in fucking Django, and then that's the name of the character in Pulp Fiction, or like one of the characters in Pulp Fiction. It's like his great great
Right.
great grandfather, whatever.
Yeah, and I love reading about it in Tarantino stuff because it's
Hmm.
all like I don't know. Tarantino's probably my favorite director.
Hmm.
Um, I would say I know his catalog more than I know any other director's catalog, which
Hmm.
isn't saying a whole lot. Um, but like some of it is like so abstract. Like I've mentioned this before on this podcast, where it's like I really wish when things like this would happen, like if when it's all said and done, like if Tarantino would just be like, "Yes, this reading is a thing I thought about," even if you didn't like map it out like to its fullest potential, You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Just be like, it's something that I vaguely had in the back of my mind while I was doing this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe he just used W.M. Kuntz because like it was just a fake name he came up with once and it sounded good, so he just rolled with it again. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But
Mm-hmm.
like I remember reading that like the reason why like all the films, Tarantino's films, like everything's so violent is because like it's an extension of the culture at that time. And like for example, Kill Bill's like the most extremely violent version of all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've read that like some people think Kill Bill is a movie within Tarantino's universe because it's like it's Tarantino's violence dialed up like
Yeah.
times 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
And then like there's all this stuff that's revolving around the film, which is that like the death of Hitler, right? Or like Hitler's soldiers is like in a movie theater. It's like there's all this like intertwining of like movies and violence, like in
Mm-hmm.
the actual world of his films. And
Mm-hmm.
all that sounds super cool, but like at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, I'm like, is that really like was he going for that, or is that just something someone picked up and was like, oh no, it's clearly here?
Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. I hadn't heard that one about Kill Bill. Like I always had heard that it's one's the first one's the east and the next one's the west. That's why it's a lot slower and a lot different. I was
Oh, okay.
I was
Yeah,
talking
I hadn't
to
heard that.
yeah because the first one moves so fast and it's got much more like well, like, they go to Japan, right? But it's like the
Right.
blood splurts and it's much more like hyper stylized in its action. And then the second
Mm-hmm.
one's a lot slower. They're in the desert. It's like more of a western than the first part.
Yeah.
Um, but and I was talking to a friend yesterday just about that, about how they're so different that I've seen the first one dozens of times, but I've only seen the second part like maybe once or twice.
Right.
And it's like I don't make a conscious effort not to watch it. It's just like one of those things. It's like you don't find yourself the opportunity, and I think that's part of it. I mean, even if you don't think about it consciously, subconsciously, your mind just kind of picks it for you, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah. But anyway, oh yeah, but back to Black Manor. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. It started off a little slow, and I had heard people say that it's not as scary as the first part, which it isn't. But
Mm-hmm.
it's a different type of story altogether. And so when I was first watching it, the first few episodes, I was kind of like not. I don't want to say not fully invested, like I was watching it, but I was like, well, it's not as scary, so it's not going to be as good. But then the back half is excellent. And I would say it's almost. I probably prefer it to the first one. I
Okay.
know some people probably won't just because they're expecting more of a conventional horror movie, like with jump scares and scary ghosts and stuff, and that's what the first one has a lot more of, or it's more like traditional, like what was that? Was there a sound? Oh my gosh, that kind of thing.
Right.
And then this one's much more like a just story that happens to have ghosts.
Right.
Yeah, and then some episodes actually gave me a good a feeling or reminded me of the movie Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, especially with how it works with memory. Because there's one episode, I think one or two, where people are inside of memories, but they know that they're inside of memories, and they know that they can't change anything. But
Mm-hmm.
it's so I would be interested to see if they were influenced by that movie at all because they work very similarly. Well, a memory is ending or they're going through it and they'll be like, wow, this is when this happened. And they're pretty much talking to themselves because it is the memory. They're like, well,
Right.
but it's another character. And they'll think, well, oh, this is when I thought about telling you this or that. I should have done it. And it's like, well, we can't really do that right now. And so I really like that. It reminded me of that. It also reminded me of the David Lowery movie, A Ghost Story, from a
Okay.
couple years ago. That one had Casey Affleck and who was the other person? Oh my gosh, Rooney Mara. And that one is a little weird. It's a little bit unconventional. It's like the art house movie, but it's like a Casey Affleck dies in a crash,
Mm-hmm.
but he comes back as a ghost like immediately. But he's like a ghost in like a white sheet. And
Okay.
so the whole movie, it's like him in a white sheet walking around, but it's sort of he's just kind of like he can't see his girlfriend now, and he has to see her get sad, and then time passes, and he's still a ghost, and without him really realizing it, he sort of goes through time and loses himself. And there's some of that in this, and I think that's why I really liked it. I didn't like the movie as much, mostly because when he becomes a ghost, he's in that white sheet, so you can't
Mm-hmm.
really feel what he's feeling. I mean, you get the sense of loneliness and
Right.
um, like melancholia that he feels, but not like the emotional punch that this show gives you, because the characters are actually being like, "Whoa, I'm stuck in this world. Like, what is going on?" Um,
Right.
yeah. So by the time people are hearing this, Halloween will be over. But I think this one is much less of a Halloween being like a Halloween story that you have to be like, we gotta watch it, before Halloween to get into the mood. And it's much more of just like a normal story that happens to have like, a lady in the lake and some ghosts and shit. Compared to the previous one. So if you're listening to this and you're like, damn, I missed my time to watch it, I'll watch it next Halloween. I definitely say give it a chance now, because I think it fits. It's much more of a year-round story, in terms of what it deals with and its themes and what happens to the characters than the other one, than The Haunting of Hill House. And yeah, I mean, it's just further proof that Mike Flanagan is sort of the best uh, creator in horror right now. Because I don't think, I can't remember the last thing that he did that I was kind of like, wow, that was bad.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot of what he's done. I'm
Mm,
really bad with like director names, but um, I've heard good things about both of those.
hmm.
So I would imagine obviously he's doing pretty well.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I've
it's
got
excellent.
I've got two things I want to touch on.
Hmm.
One is directly related, one's extremely tangential. So we're gonna go to the directly related one first,
Yeah.
which is that like you were talking about how it's not a traditional scary show, like
Hmm.
horror show or whatever, and doesn't have
Yes.
like jump scares. And I feel like I hate jump scares more than anything else, like in film. Period. Like I hate it because it's so blatantly obvious,
Hmm.
right? And like it's not. I don't know that it's definitely like supposed to be hidden. I feel like when it's done well, you're not thinking about it. But
Yes.
like there are so many bad movies with jump scares where like they slowly walk up to a closet and you're like, okay. And what makes me so mad is that I'll know it's gonna be a jump scare, and just through sheer like visual and like audio cue of just like extremely loud, extremely fast movement, I still get jump scared because I'm an idiot, and I immediately am so mad because I'm like, this. I fucking hate you. You did this so poorly, and it shouldn't have worked, and it still fucking pissed me off because like, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like it's like if someone was standing in front of you with a set of like giant cymbals
Hmm.
and you knew he was just gonna crash them together. When he crashes them together, you're still gonna like flinch just because it's so loud. And every
Yes.
time I'm just furious about it. I feel like the best jump scares in movies are in movies where they tease you with enough jump scares that don't happen. Like someone goes to a closet and then they like you're like, oh, here it comes, and it's just like nothing, and you're like,
Yes.
okay, and then they do that like two more times, but then they hit you with a big one that's less obvious. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, I'm not mad at this movie.
Yeah. No, yeah, I mean, the best ones, I think, like, the one that always comes to mind that does them well are probably like The Conjuring.
Right. The Conjuring was one of the
And
most unsettling movies. Like the first one that came out was just wildly unsettling the whole time.
hmm.
Like I don't
Yes.
there weren't a whole lot of jump scares. There were some and they were good, but that like made it so like I was so just tense and uneasy watching that whole movie.
Hmm.
Like
Oh yeah, yeah, that one, yeah, yeah. That's how I felt too. Like when the hands come out to clap and a bunch of little things like that, but they're done well. Or when the mom's putting up like a blanket on the thing
right.
and it like snaps and there's like it forms like the shape of a character and you're like, oh shit. So that one was creepy. Hereditary, which
I haven't seen that. I actually have that. I'm watching that next weekend. I told my wife, I can't remember what happened. I think I saw it mentioned and knew that was one I wanted to watch.
hmm.
And like, I looked up like ways to watch it, and it looks like there's a couple different places. It's like $3.99 to rent it. And I told
Yes.
my wife, I was like, we're going to rent that and watch that next weekend.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So,
It's
so that's
excellent.
on the list. So don't
Hmm.
spoil anything on that one.
Yeah, yeah. I won't. Yeah, yeah. But it has some great scares because like something will happen where somebody will just turn off a light and the camera will like be on the person who turns off the light, and then they'll look at something and be like, what is that? And then the camera cuts to what they're looking at, but it's just you have to find what they're looking at in the frame, and
Right.
when you see it you're like, oh. But it's not like she turns off the light, cocks her head, and then there's like a demon in her face and it goes, "Bleh," so it's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It's much more subtle. It's much more sophisticated, but it is still technically what you would say a jump scare because it's like a quick cut, and then you have, once you see it, you go, oh, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like,
exactly.
but it's not that cheap shit where like the cat falls on the piano and
Yeah, like,
exactly.
the fuck out of here, bro. Or like the old videos that were super popular, where it's just like a car driving down a road.
Oh yeah, the commercial, yeah. The fucking
Like
everybody knows that one.
Yeah. Oh god.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is that. The tangentially related point was about what was the name of the movie with Casey Affleck?
A ghost story.
Okay, and you said it had Rooney Mara.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
She plays the girlfriend. Yeah.
all right. So that's an actress. Is she? She might have been part of what might have absolutely ruined a TV show for me. If it's who I'm thinking of, was she in House of Cards?
No, but that's her sister. That's Kate Mara.
Okay. All right. Kate Mara single-handedly ruined the show for me. It wasn't
Which
her.
one?
It wasn't. It was House of Cards. It wasn't
Oh.
her. It was like she was involved just because she was playing the character. But like spoilers, I guess, for House of Cards. But like, I've never been immediately turned off from a show. Right. I'm super into the first season. Frank Underwood shoves her in front of a train, bro, and I was like, I'm good on this now.
Yes, that's how I felt too.
Like he's out here committing murders.
Straight up murder. He's like, aren't you the president? Can't you
with
get
his
like your
bare
henchmen to
hands
do it?
in person? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, bro. And
That's how
I said Frank Underwood specifically because I don't know what happened to Kevin Spacey, but that man has turned into Frank Underwood. Every video he's made since that show has come off, since he ended up in controversy, he's like still doing his Frank Underwood impression.
And he releases them like on Christmas Day, and we're like,
What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. So
Yeah, Kevin Spacey died tragically in a hang glide
And yeah,
accident,
they just
and
keep
Frank
dying.
Underwood just took his spot.
Exactly. And
Frank
the thing
Underwood
is, dude,
climbed out of the fucking TV like like the girl in what, The Ring or whatever.
Ring, yeah.
And Frank Underwood crawled out the TV and he's like, "This is who I am now."
and that's how I felt too about the show. I think so. They kill Pete Russo at the beginning, right? At the end of the first season, right?
Right.
So they kill him, and they kill him, and then they kill her pretty much over the course of two or three episodes over 2 seasons. And after that, I was like, that's my whole interest. Like they're they were like, in terms of people who are most like humans, who I can be like, I'm watching this show for humans. It was Pete Russo, the congressman, and her, and then everybody else. And it's like, okay, cool. Like, what's his name? Mahershala Ali. I forget who he played.
Yeah, he's like the
Rooney.
the right hand man. I don't know. Like,
I forget his name.
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Him and Michael Kelly, the other bald guy, like, I'm just like, okay, cool, you guys are really fucking cool and like cold, but it's like I'm not gonna watch a show where everybody's just like cool and cold all the fucking time, So I pretty much give up through, like, I gave up a little bit after you did. I think it was like halfway through season 3, but I was just like, fuck, this is just bleak and boring.
For me, it had nothing to even do, like, it wasn't the characters that died for me. It was just like your whole thing to me, like the whole appeal of House of Cards was that it's obviously dramatized, but like it was like a political, like, you know what I mean, like making backhanded, underhanded moves politically. You know what I mean? It was like watching chess. You know what I mean? To me, like extremely dramatized chess, but chess nonetheless. But then Frank Underwood fucking kicks all the pieces off the board and flips the table when he shoves a person in front of a train, like in a train station himself. I was like,
And he's over there in like a hoodie, and he's like, "Hey girl, come here, over here, this way where there's construction." She's like, "What are you doing, Frank? There's construction over there."
He's
And
like,
then he just like, and then he's like, "Bam!" And I was like, "Oh,
I've
okay.
conveniently timed this train to arrive."
Exactly.
Yeah, it would have been great if the fucking train was just behind schedule, bro.
And she's just like, "What the fuck, Frank? Help me out,
and
asshole!"
he's just like trying to stall. He just keeps looking at his watch. Like,
Help! The president's trying to kill me.
He leans forward, looks down the fucking subway, like, God, like looking for headlights. He's like, this motherfucker could go many times. Oh God, yeah, that show is terrible. I recognized the name Mara, and I was like, I don't think it's Rooney Mara, but I can't think of anybody else. Okay, so it's her sister.
Yes, and they're actually they're part of the Mara family that owns the Giants, and the Rooney family that owns the Steelers. Mm-hmm.
What?
Yep.
Jesus Christ. So that family's got fucking money.
So Rooney Mara is literally the two families that own the Steelers and the Giants.
Jesus Christ. All right, well, Guess if she never got an acting job again, she'd be fine.
She'd be fucking yeah. So yeah, so her mother's family founded the Pittsburgh Steelers, and her father's family founded the New York Giants.
Nice.
Her father, Timothy Mara, is the senior vice president of player personnel for the Giants. And yeah, so that's how the two names, Rooney and Mara.
All right then. Fuck. All right. Oh, God, Jesus. All right. So that's what you've been watching. I have watched more Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I will say I binged the shit out of it like in the past 2 days, and I think I'm halfway through the last season now. Spoilers as usual. Eero's fucking jacked. He's fucking cock diesel. He was out there just fucking groveling for rice. The man steps outside. He's like, okay, chin ups, fucking feet hooked on the cell, doing fucking pull ups, bro.
Fucking ripped. And so I like that. I like his arc in this season. He does. It feels like he's. When I was watching it, it felt like he didn't. His role was cut back a little bit.
Yeah.
But that, I mean, yes. But other than that, I was like, yes, fuck yeah, Eero. But other than that, I always wanted more Eero. So
Yeah, I hope he comes back and still plays an important part. Just because it's weird for him to just get thrown in prison and then get jacked and then just disappear. Like,
right.
Because there was a prison break and he's gone, and fucking Kazuko's looking for him, and the guy's like, it's like a one-man army came through here. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean he is in it, but I'm saying like because in the first two seasons it's like the three kids, Aang and everybody on one, that's like storyline A, and then storyline B was always him and Zuko,
right?
And they would always go like sort of weave back and forth, and he's probably like not as high as that in this season. He does come back, but he's not as like A and B type thing.
Right, and I wonder if like it sucks, but I feel like maybe I should have seen it coming, because realistically, if I go back to the first two seasons, like his whole purpose was kind of to be like Zuko's moral compass.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Or at least try to be. Because
yes.
like the whole time Zuko's like super angry. He's like, you need to like calm down and just think about it. He's like, I need my honor. He's like, I don't know if you're gonna get it back when you show up. Like all that. So I did get to hear. I've heard the Fire Lord Ozai. Is that? Okay. Definitely Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
I heard it and immediately I was like, oh, that's him. He did like one laugh in one of Aang's dreams, and I was like, oh, it's definitely him. He basically did the Joker laugh. But yeah, so I've been watching a lot of Avatar. Hopefully I'll finish up with that next week, and I'm going to be watching Hereditary. So that's all I have my schedule as far as watching.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Dude, definitely let me know when you watch Hereditary. So the director, Sean Astor, I always get him mixed up with the guy who did The Lighthouse and The Witch, but I like this guy's movies better. Sean Astor, his movies better, and so he made Hereditary and Midsummer.
Okay, those two I get. I know they're nothing alike, but for some reason they are like together in my head.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, like having never seen either of them. Like when I think of like horror movies, for some reason, like I always think of those like back to back.
Yeah,
and I mean Hereditary and Midsummer. I didn't even know they were made by the same guy.
Yeah, and they're both excellent, and I feel like it's sort of the same Hill House Bly Manor split with these, where Hereditary is much more like more traditional horror, and Midsummer's not really. I mean, it is scary and it is freaky, and there are like weird shit goes down, but it's like a weird crazy movie that happens to have weird shit in it more than like a horror movie like the other one. Although unlike with Bly Manor and Hill House, I do prefer Hereditary more. I haven't watched either one more than once, but I do. They both made an impression on me where like I can think about scenes and stuff without having seen it twice, just because they stuck.
I think the opposite of that, if I'm thinking off the top of my head, like if you had to rate the two big Jordan Peele movies, Get Out and Us, I feel like it's flipped. I feel like Get Out is less traditional. Like it's a lot of like weird shit and like eerie feelings.
Yeah.
But I feel like Us is definitely more of like a horror movie. You know what I mean? Like,
Especially when the family comes in and like early on and she sees like the opening scene with the kid in the funhouse mirror thing.
Right.
Yeah.
What did you think of Us? Also, I mean,
I I thought it was okay.
it's
I
pretty
think
good, but that's
yeah.
like not. I feel like it got a little more love than it should have.
Mhm.
Um, I think the performances were great.
Yes.
But
Yes. Mhm. Agree. And I think so I saw some people bring this up and I sort of share their feeling where like so it was trying to be like how can I say like a Twilight Zone parable type thing
mhm,
where like you can be like well the rules don't really matter because it's like a fairy tale type thing. But if that was the case, it should have um
leaned into it a little more.
leaned into it more. Yes. Make it
Right.
more like that. Because then what happens if you make it so realistic like it is now, and you try to explain the rules and stuff,
Right.
then you just kind of go down this rabbit hole of like, well, does everybody have a clone? What happens if the people go overseas? What like that kind of stuff, right? You just go down
Right.
this, yeah, where you can't really explain it, but the way you avoid that is you make it more storytelling, more fably.
Right. Also, I feel like I've only watched it once, um, but I feel like I remember it being like wildly like way too easy to find the like network of where all the clones were at. And I was like, you tell me nobody's just been down here, like.
Right. Like in that case, like what they should have done is not even made it like a government thing or like some sort of fucking realistic thing. Make it just like a portal to a dimension thing, right? Make it like hell,
Right.
right? Like I know it's trying to make a statement on certain things, but maybe make the I don't know. You can still have the allegory about the haves and have nots type thing,
Right.
but just if you just literally say there's a portal to hell or like a portal to a dimension where everybody is shitty, then you go, oh, and it's connected. Then you go like, oh, okay. That way, when everybody asks, well, what happens when this happens? Oh, magic. Okay.
Right. No one knows.
Yeah, it's just like
It's
I have
this
to say it's just
magic thing
magic.
that's only happened once, and like will only happen once. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um,
And then you set the rules and you keep them. Nobody breaks the world. That's how Harry Potter works. Like you
right.
have magic, so you can fix any problem, but there's still tension because you go, well, there's this magic, but if you use it, you get sent to the prison, or like if you undo this, then that rips the world, right? Like,
Right.
and I
Yeah.
feel like
Just
that's what
like
us
give
needed.
give dire consequences to stuff that's like kind of too strong. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like that's all that has to happen.
yeah.
But yeah, I just I brought that up because it rang in my head when we were talking about the two together, and like I always think of those two together, and I
Hmm.
think they're flipped, and that Get Out is more just like eerie and less
Yeah.
traditional, whereas the other two were traditional first, and then kind of wandered into the eerie territory.
Right. And and another thing that us just I feel like is just isn't as tight as Get Out. Like Get Out is like
Right.
fucking like tight as a drum. Like that thing is
Everyone
just
that
fucking
that's another one where
slick.
all the performances are top notch.
And
Like
like everybody's at their peak. I think like he
even
like
fucking
the
Bradley Whitford, like
Bradley
he
Whitford
nails.
he nails it. Catherine O'Hara nails it. Not Catherine
Right.
O'Hara. Catherine Keener.
Yeah.
She nails it. Allison Williams. So like that thing, but the movie, the pacing, the fucking scares, just like tight as a fucking drum. While us, I feel like sort of isn't as smooth as it could have been. It could have been cut or tightened a little bit.
And like what's funny is I feel like the message is also done better in Get Out. Like the end of Get Out is such an instant like fuck like what you thought. You know what I mean? Like the
Hmm.
police lights show up and your first thought as everybody in the audience is like he's gonna get killed. Like everyone's
Right.
like he's a black dude that's like killing a white woman. It's over for him when these police lights show up, and then it's just like a black dude in the car, and you're like, why did I think that like it didn't matter anything that had happened? Like, you know what I mean? Like immediately you were like, oh, okay, like this
Yes.
is a tell on our society that like despite them having fucking brainwashed this dude and tried to kill him, like he's defending himself, and the moment a cop was gonna show up, they were gonna kill him. You know what I mean? Like it's a
Mm-hmm.
problem that we think that's what's gonna happen regardless of everything beforehand. So like even the
Exactly.
message came across tighter. I feel like than it does in Us.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, does he have anything else like in the works? Really?
He just kind of has like I mean he's producing a bunch of shit like
Right.
he produced Lovecraft Country, and I think right now he's just doing like a bunch of like, and he produced the one that was gonna come out this year, Candyman. So right now he's kind of got his a finger in a bunch of jars, just going on at once.
Gotcha.
But I don't think he has announced like his next directing one.
Gotcha.
So.
Yeah. I knew he'd been producing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Lovecraft Country either. Have you?
No, I've heard like
mixed things.
Mixed positive. Where like it's audacious, but some of it just kind of gets lost. It gets too out there. I heard the first episode was fucking awesome, like excellent, and then the second one was fucking terrible.
Yeah, that's yeah. So like when I said like I've heard good things, it's because when I hadn't heard of the show yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then all of a sudden, like the first episode came out, and everyone was like, "This is fucking amazing," and I was like, "Yo!" And then then you were like, "Eh," and I was like, "Oh yeah, I did remember." I feel like I heard like the second episode was not good.
Not good, but yeah, but I might watch it eventually
at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping that when it ended, people would be like, "Oh my gosh, that finale just fucking landed the jet smoothly. It fucking hit the tarmac. It was perfect. Like it did it." But all I heard was just kind of like, yeah. It finished, and it wasn't too crazy, but
right.
Yeah, I needed a little bit more to be like, wow, I gotta start this shit now, even with the hiccups.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, that'll wrap up our talk of horror movies. But will lead us into our next topic, which is that why aren't there more Thanksgiving movies?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Thanksgiving would be like the perfect fucking just like Hallmark, just like down the pipeline, like just feel good movies. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Like not even having to put any thought into them, just make like throw a big name in there, give them a sob story. You know what I mean? Like you're telling me no one thought to make like a Thanksgiving movie with like fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger in it? Like
yeah, like some sort of something, because so there's Halloween movies, which they're fucking a dime a dozen, right? There's like horror movies, which I think, so that's a little tricky, because like Halloween, there's some movies that are about Halloween that are scary, like Hocus Pocus, Trick or Treat, even the one that came out this year, Hubie Halloween, and then there's like ones that are horror movies that just are ones that you watch during that time. So Halloween kind of gets like an easy, it gets the assist of just being of having horror movies pumped into it.
Scary, and also like children have a good time on Halloween, so you can make like The Nightmare Before Christmas, you know what I mean, like like the Halloween movie, and then you can also just make a Halloween movie about demons killing people.
Be like, wow, this one's like a movie that I try to watch every Halloween is Cabin in the Woods, and that one has nothing to do with Halloween. It just happens to be about monsters and shit, right? So that one gets the assist from that. And then Christmas movies are the same, where it's like, you have movies about Christmas that are about the fucking holiday itself, but then there's also anything that takes place during wintertime people like watching during that time.
Like Die Hard.
Like Die Hard, yeah. Or The Holiday, or what's another one that I'm thinking about that it's like not necessarily about Christmas, but it's just about the wintertime. But anyway, it gets the same thing. But Thanksgiving gets nothing. Like not even like, and so maybe I got to thinking this week, I was like, so what is it? Like, so, I mean, both Halloween and Christmas are sort of pre-American holidays, right? They're both sort of like old pagan, like from the, like back when people were like not doing shit, like, right? They were like, like they were worshiping the moon, worshiping the sun, like that kind of pagan stuff. So Christmas comes from that, Halloween comes from that. So maybe that's why, because it's like much more, they sort of both tap into this sort of like greater, like higher power type thing, right, where you're like, oh, it's Halloween, but there's like something spooky in the air, something we can't quite explain. Or if it's Christmas, it's like, wow, there's like this sort of like inexplicable magic, even if it's not necessarily about Christmas or Jesus or Santa. There's like this sort of like energy about community and stuff, right? So I thought maybe that's why, because Thanksgiving is so relatively new compared to those two. But I mean, I just
maybe, but I feel like the overall message of Thanksgiving is just like be thankful for everything. Like there's a million movies where you could just tie that in, like,
right? I mean, and like, so
business
I thought maybe,
guy is ungrateful and fucking loses his job, becomes thankful, everything turns out. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just
Right,
like,
exactly. And so maybe I thought, so I was like, okay, so maybe not everybody has the same Christmas, like Thanksgiving. Like some people's Thanksgivings are much more low key. They're just kind of like, a family meal. Some people's are very like fucking massive, where they have like 20,000 family members over and they have 3 giant ass turkeys. But then I thought,
right,
well, no, because people's Halloween or Christmases are like that too. Where some people have
right,
fucking massive family Christmases where everybody gives each other fucking 20 presents, and some people have smaller ones where everybody gets like a present maybe, right?
right.
So like I was like, well, that's not it either. But you're exactly right. It's like, I literally Googled right now Thanksgiving movies.
Okay.
And it's like, there's like an animated movie called Freebirds about like animated turkeys, planes, trains, and automobiles, which I think is probably the closest one we have. And then there's like something called a family Thanksgiving that looks like, there's like a lady on the cover that looks like Willy Wonka from the 2005 movie with a hat. So like, they're just not there.
Yeah. What the fuck? How is this not? Yo, hold on. I looked up Thanksgiving movies, bro. It's like The Blind Side. I'm like, we're reaching.
I mean, I guess. Like what? Like I guess. I mean, because they have Thanksgiving. Like,
there's a
I mean,
Thanksgiving meal in the movie. Like, here's your Thanksgiving movie.
you're right. And there are movies with scenes that have Thanksgiving in there. Like, oh, he's coming over for Thanksgiving. Oh, they get home, they get there, and they like fucking take off like their scarf and they hang it up and shit. You know what I mean?
Right. But it's never like even remotely the point. Like,
right. There's a Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. That's it.
Yeah. This is Charlie Brown for every holiday.
Scent of a woman, I guess. This whole trial's out of order.
But your point, one of your points was that like even Groundhog's Day has a movie,
right? And that's what I was
it's
gonna
an
say.
A+ movie.
Exactly. Every single holiday has like some sort of movie. I think New Year's Day doesn't have one, but I think it has that weird romantic comedy one where like there's like 20 different stories or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah. Remember that
4th of July has Jaws. Born on the 4th of July. What's another holiday? St. Patrick's Day. There's like the Leprechaun movie, and then there's also, what else is the St. Patrick's Day movie? The Departed. Maybe.
Yeah.
Easter. I think there's like religious stuff with Easter.
Yeah. Passion of the Christ.
Passion of the Christ.
I don't know.
Hop. Oh wait, no, yeah, there is. There's like a Hop movie where like James Marsden is like with the bunny rabbit or something.
Right. Yeah, so every holiday has one except for like Thanksgiving. I can't really come up with like the Thanksgiving movie.
Right. And if you were like, what's your Mount Rushmore or, Marvel's Avengers of holidays, that'd probably be like July 4th, Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, right?
Right. Yeah.
And,
yeah. So wildly underrepresented, but you like I know of a Thanksgiving movie.
Yeah. Yes. So I posted in our doc that helps us plan for the event that Eli Roth, the horror director, made a trailer for a fake one years ago. It was part of the Grindhouse movie that Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino made back in 2007. Right. So it was like 2 movies that were put into one, and then in the middle they got like their director buddies to make a bunch of little fake trailers. And I think Edgar Wright did one. Robert Rodriguez himself did one called Machete, which eventually did come to the movie Machete.
I didn't know that's how that originated.
Machete, yeah, Machete was one of them. Yeah, he's like, because he puts that minigun in front of the motorcycle, and I remember that was like a shot in the movie. And so then Eli Roth came up with one called Thanksgiving, and the trailer is on YouTube. And I try to watch it like every other Thanksgiving or like every Thanksgiving, just because I think it's so ridiculous. So it's like it's so for those of you who haven't seen it, it's sort of framed as those like old timey horror movies where there's like dun 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 dun, this holiday you're gonna come home stuffed in a body bag, and they show like the different deaths in the movie, and each death is I think pretty funny. So there's
they're all like super stereotypical while also being over the top.
There's
every single one of them is like a girl about to have sex with a guy, like every single one of them.
Yes, and she like kisses the guy, and then she stops kissing him, and then it's just his head. And then like
there's one where she goes down on the dude and she looks up and his head's gone.
His head's gone.
Like blood just pouring down.
And the best part is just like the voice, Thanksgiving,
Thanksgiving.
And so they never. And so the guy is dressed up like a pilgrim. It looks like, and he's like chopping people's heads off and stuff in the trailer. And then, it like, but then they never made it into a movie. And I'm like, why not? It's so simple. Like literally, the trailer is what you make it as. Even if it's not a great one, you just make it as a guy like who's just going around killing people.
Can't be that high. Like, there's no way the budget has to be that high for that one. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, maybe like the cool dance, but all you gotta do is just like they literally have this in the trailer. They fucking stuff somebody like up during Thanksgiving turkey thing, and just like that's it. Like that's like your budget right there. And then maybe you just have like a guy, like okay, here it is, boom. You have a family that is having a hard time because they don't want to get together because they all hate each other for some reasons, and then they get stuck in a house, and then they're being fucking chased around the house by a pilgrim who hates them for blah 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 blah, right? And then boom, there you go.
Yeah, exactly. And then they can tie it all up with some like how the family came together to stop this pilgrim guy.
Exactly,
and
exactly.
Or maybe for having each other.
Yes, they stole the land that the house is on, and they're bitching about the land because the patriarch died, and it's like a lesson about how the pilgrims stole the land, and they came up with a fake shitty holiday.
Right.
Boom. There you go.
Yeah.
Give me $20 million, Netflix. I'll make the movie.
$20 million, Netflix.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell him, give me $20 million or I'm gonna quit. Fuck it.
You're gonna ask for $20 million. They're gonna give it to you. You're gonna spend like $5 on a used like tape recorder.
I mean, that's like what fucking everybody does it on Netflix. Everybody gets $100 million from Netflix footage. And they pocket most of it.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be like just me, you, like all of our friends from high school, just like super awful looking, and just be like pocket the other fucking 19 mil.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh yeah, we just we had to give ourselves a little bit extra. Like literally, dude, anytime I see a Netflix trailer for a movie that they're gonna come out or some shitty series that they're gonna come out that everybody's gonna forget about in like a week and a half, I literally see a big time actor and I'm like, fuck, that sucks for them, but good on you getting that Netflix money, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. Exactly.
Get you that house on the beach, man.
It's gonna be looking like our fucking AP English fucking video we had to do. I don't know if you remember that, bro. It was fucking terrible.
Yes, it's gonna be looking like that, yeah. But Netflix is gonna pay for it, and we're gonna be #1 on the trending, and it's gonna be all over Twitter for like a week, and then everybody's gonna forget about it because Netflix is gonna come out with something else a week later.
Right, and our Rotten Tomatoes score for like all of our efforts is going to be like a fucking 3%, and it won't matter because we secured the bag.
Exactly.
Speaking of fake Thanksgiving movies, though, yes. I showed you a link of an old like horror Thanksgiving movie that I'm pretty sure is like an actual YouTube movie, but I only ever watched this one video that's just like a minute and a half of like the worst one-liners, and it kills me. And it's a turkey. It's called Thanksgiving, and it's like the fakest looking turkey that's like a demon turkey. Like it's clearly like dead and decomposing, and like just running around and murdering people, like doing like snarky one-liners.
It looks like fucking Triumph the Courage Dog or whatever, Triumph the insert comic dog. Like it's like clearly somebody's hand puppeting the turkey, being like gobble gobble, motherfucker.
My favorite and the most ridiculous is like he's like the turkey's having sex with this girl and she doesn't realize it's the turkey, and then she turns around and he's like, get stuffed, bitch, and then just like kills her. It's the most ridiculous.
I remember I was telling you before we recorded, I was like, yeah, my buddy, I think at the end of my last year of college or like a year after we got out of college, we would get together right before Christmases, both of those Christmases, and not Christmases, Jesus, Halloweens, and we would watch like shitty movies. He loved those. Right. So he would watch like Sleepaway Camp, which is actually pretty good. There was like a mermaid one, and then we watched this one, the Thanksgiving, and it was ridiculous. I mean, I think it's like some turkeys fall into like radioactive goo or something.
That's amazing.
I think that's what it is. And then one of them just goes crazy and starts killing people. But you never see his body because it's always clearly somebody's hand.
Yeah, it's always like the neck up.
It's like a super close up. He's like, who's getting stuff now, bitch? And like something like, okay.
Gobble, gobble.
I'm gonna kill those yams. And he's got like
and it's got the worst voice also.
Yeah, it's not even good. It's not even creepy. Get Mark Hamill to do the voice.
Bro, have Mark Hamill do the Joker laugh, but instead of laughing, gobbling.
I mean, dude, that would be pretty good. I mean, I think that might be good. But that's what I'm saying. Like,
Netflix, give me 25 mil.
that's what I'm saying. Like that, the niche is there for them to do it. Like they, like people. So like some people love Thanksgiving. I'm of the mind that like Thanksgiving for me is like it's just a good chance just to go home and hang out with my family and the Cowboys. We're both Cowboys fans, so I get a chance to either watch them make my day better or shittier. But
this year will definitely be worse.
Oh yeah. But for the most part, I feel like they win probably 2 out of 3 times. I think I can only think of like 3 or 4 times when it was like shitty. I like probably RG3 in 2012, the Panthers in 2015, and I think that's it. Other than that, they either win close or they lose close, but it's never horrific, which I'm okay with. But anyway, I don't mind it. Some people hate it. They hate like having to go home and see their relatives that they don't get along with or whatever. Some people love it. But for the most part, I think most people are just kind of like meh about it. Right. So the space is there. Make a horror movie about how fucking boring it is, or make a drama. I mean, well, no, nobody wants to watch that because they're already living that. So yeah, so the horror movie element of it is there. Just make it into some sort of slasher movie and have some fun with it.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, Thanksgiving movies need to be made.
Yes.
I can't believe Netflix, as much random shit as they greenlight, doesn't just have Thanksgiving movies, like Netflix original Thanksgiving movies on deck.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, you say that, but then by the time that people hear this, they'll probably get inundated with like 5 or 6
That's
different
true.
series on November 1st, being
Right.
like,
Yeah.
forget Halloween, we're here Thanksgiving now.
Exactly. So yeah, but speaking of Netflix greenlighting everything, I want to talk about one thing that got greenlit that I never, like, the moment I heard about it, I was like, this is a terrible idea. There's no way this is going to come off the ground, which is Quibi, which has subsequently died.
Yes. R.I.P. Quibi. Good night, sweet prince.
So Quibi, when did Quibi start? Let's see. Quibi started it launched on April 6th,
Yes.
2020.
Yes, and so the first time I ever heard about Quibi was during Super Bowl Sunday, because they actually had, I think, 2 maybe commercials. So fucking right out the gate, you got like $5 million commercials twice.
And I feel like that was before like any word had gotten around.
Yes,
I saw this commercial, like, the fuck is this?
I was like, what the fuck is a Quibi? Like you could be hearing a Quibi. I'm like, what is this? And so I googled it, and then they explained what it was and that it was coming out in 2 months. So what it was is just like it was like this sort of new streaming service that was created by Jeffrey Katzenberg, and he used to work at Disney back in the 80s, and then he eventually left and started to head up the DreamWorks animation studio of it. So he's responsible for like the early really really good shit, so like The Prince of Egypt, Chicken Run, Shrek, Shrek 2. And so he did all of those, and then he was definitely there. He was definitely responsible for the start of the Disney Renaissance when he was there. So like Little Mermaid, the Beauty and the Beast. I don't know if he was there for all of them, but I know he definitely started them, or he helped start them. So he's got his, he's got like a good rep in the business, and so he raised $2 billion to start a new app called Quibi, which
it says was founded in August 2018. So that means it started April 2020, but it was being created from August 2018 to April 2020. So that's a year and a half.
Yes.
Of all this legwork being done.
Mm-hmm.
And he pulled, you said, $2 billion?
I think almost $2 billion, or more than definitely $2 billion, like close to $2 billion from venture capitalists or whatever the fuck they raised their money from.
Right.
And so what it was is just, it's a streaming service that had a series of shows where the shows would be 10 minutes long. So that way, if you were in a hurry, you could just watch like a quick episode, be like, oh, I gotta watch the new Chance the Rapper show. Let me watch Punk'd. Oh, 10 minutes. Okay, it's up. But their gimmick was that what you would do is that it was filmed in such a way where if you wanted to watch it vertically, you could just watch it. And it would fill up the whole screen, or you could turn it horizontally and it would become horizontal. So, unlike when you watch Netflix, or not Netflix, YouTube movies widescreen, or YouTube videos widescreen, or horizontally, you can watch them full screen, or if you watch them vertically, there's like that black bars. But this is
Right.
different. This is like full, and it was formatted so that you could watch it either way. Which automatically you're basically streaming two videos at the same time, which fucks your data if you are using data. But that was a gimmick. That's what it is. You can watch 10-minute videos vertically or horizontally. That was it.
And also, the other thing about it was they were like, these are still like high quality videos. Like even though they were only 10 minutes, they weren't like it seemed like all the equipment used, all like it was like only 10 minutes worth of a movie or a show, but
Mm-hmm.
like it was still like big budget looking. Like if there was an
Oh yeah.
explosion, it was like a real explosion. It wasn't like a, you know what I mean? It looked more like a movie than fucking Supergirl. You know what I mean?
Oh
Whenever
yeah.
action scenes came on.
I mean, they fucking spent that money because
Yes,
Chrissy
they
Teigen had a
spent that
show.
too, Bill.
Chance
Yeah.
the Rapper had like a punk show. There was a show with Christoph Waltz and Liam Hemsworth where it was based on the most dangerous game, where the guy chases the other guy,
Yeah.
whatever, and that was on Quibi,
I feel
and
like
that
Kevin
was
Hart had something. I feel like
oh yeah,
what's
wasn't it
Sophie
Die
Turner?
Hard? Die
Yeah,
Hard,
Die Hard
right?
did,
With
yeah.
Bruce Willis, right?
Yeah. I think Sophie
The
Turner had one, right? Isn't that
yes,
the, yeah,
yes,
she had something on there.
the lady from Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. This was the fucking weirdest one. It was the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. She played a lady who had a gold arm, and I think the show was called like the lady with the gold arm,
Okay.
and that was it. Just that she had a gold arm.
That's cool, I guess. My,
This is what $2 billion gets you.
$2 billion in a year and a half of planning. And for me, like the moment I learned what it was, I was like, there's no way this is gonna do well. Because like what is all right, so here's the deal. Like if I only have 10 minutes, where's this 10 minute span occurring? Right? Like
Right.
if it's just like in between doing things and I'm like at my house, I don't think I'm gonna sit and watch this on my phone. You know what I mean? Like I have other things to do at my house for 10 minutes that aren't just like watching a movie on my phone.
Right.
And then just like on top of that, it's like, what are you going to do in 10 minutes?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like how are we gonna hit? Like none of this is gonna be good. I don't know what you create in 10 minutes that is worth watching. I don't know. Like the whole time I was like, so like I just couldn't think of what it would take the place of. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if I'm
Yes.
sitting on in 10 minutes, I feel like I'd rather just listen to two songs, like,
Right.
than watch like a short 10 minute movie. And the other thing was that because they went like I said with like big budget stuff, you know what I mean? Like big names, none of it looked cheap. I was like, what the fuck? Like you just blew so much money, and like this is already an iffy idea. You know what I mean? Like I feel like if your idea is that iffy, or maybe not iffy, but not mainstream. You know what I mean? Like if it's like a brand new idea that, if you told me like we're gonna make 10 minute movies, I'd be like, maybe let's see. Like I'm willing to give it a shot. And you're like, but I need $2 billion. I'm gonna get the biggest names and like blow all that money. I'm gonna be like, this seems like a mistake. Like
Exactly.
maybe we want to like put our like toes in the water before we just dive straight in.
Dive straight in with like, I mean, so
And also, again, we saw the Super Bowl ad and we're like, what is this? Bro, how did you go with the two Super Bowl ads? And then, first of all, we hadn't heard of it before these Super Bowl ads. That seems like a bad idea, right? Because
Right.
you just spent a lot of fucking money on those Super Bowl ads. And then
Right.
secondly, after we saw the ads, we still didn't know what it was. So like,
exactly, like if everybody has to Google it, then what they should have done was just instead of making an actual commercial, just put out like Sophie Turner to read out what a Quibi is for 30 seconds. Like that's all
Right.
you need to do, right? But no, I totally agree with you with the 10-minute thing. Like when I need to do something quickly, like if I'm cooking or if I got to do something quick that I just need something to be playing, I'll play like one of those like the collapse videos that we talked about a couple weeks ago, or I'll play a
Right.
kill count, or I'll play like some sort of video game let's play thing. But then if I have more time, then I'll just settle down for a show that's long. Like I'll settle down for a half-hour show, right?
You know what I
So-
think it is I think in 10 minutes, generally if I only have a 10-minute span, it's probably because I've got some other stuff going on, right?
Right.
which means I can't fully commit to like just watching for 10 minutes this like film. Like I know it's only 10 minutes, so film is a strong word to use. But like if it's a YouTube video, that shit can just kind of play in the background, and I'll hear interesting tidbits and be like, "Wow, that was cool."
Yeah.
But like if I'm in 10 minutes, like you said, in between cooking, I'm not gonna like settle down to watch this 10-minute video on my phone and then be back up because I only had 10 minutes. Like
Right.
it's like the opposite of what anything on a phone is. All media on a phone is just kind of meant for you to go from one thing to the next quickly. You know what I mean? Like kind of frivolously almost.
Right.
But
Right.
it's like, nah, we're giving you 10 minutes of this fucking show, like this actual show you're probably going to need to like actually pay attention to. And then, like, or I could just watch like this short YouTube video and then just kind of like meander around and hear something or see something interesting. Like if I watch a 10-minute YouTube video, like one of those collabs videos, it's because I already have enough of a basic understanding of everything else around it. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like the collabs video about Kevin Durant and the Thunder. It's like I understand who was on the Thunder, who, you know what I mean? Like we can trim up a lot of this because generally people are gonna know like the Thunder had 3 MVPs. You know what I mean? Like this is crazy. How did this happen? But like you're gonna have me start something completely new and finish it in 10 minutes. I clearly need to be focused, and that's
Right.
not what
Exactly.
this should be.
Exactly. And you know, it just goes to show you how saturated the space is right now. You know, everybody's got a streaming service. And I think even the successful ones, which would be the successful new ones, I should say, like Disney Plus, it's very hard to get in there and sort of keep themselves relevant. Like literally, so you know, it came out and they have all Disney shit, all the Marvel shit, right? But their only original one that has made a splash, that has, I think, I would say, has been a part of the zeitgeist or approaching close to it, is The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And they have a bunch of other shows. They have like shows about Pixar and about animated shows and about the Imagineers and a bunch of other Disney related shit. But none of it, I mean, and I've heard it's good, but none of it sort of reaches that sort of proliferation into the general conversation quite like that. While I feel like Netflix, of course, has the stranglehold because everybody always talks about the newest Netflix shit, even if it's not good. And I think Hulu is approaching that. But I think, you know, nobody has talk about, you see that new Quibi show or even that new HBO Max show. And I think that's what they need.
That's what I was gonna bring up. So we're talking about. This is so insane. We're talking about a market that has Netflix, right? Which is blowing it out of the water. Like, regardless if we're talking about like the business model or anything, like in terms of, like you said, proliferation, like it's the one. Then you have Hulu, which has been around forever, and like it's solid. It's not really going for the same thing Netflix is, or at least it wasn't at first. You know what I mean? I feel like it was like you don't want to pay for cable, but you still want to watch like some TV shows. Here you go. Then what's nuts to me is that you had Disney Plus and HBO Max, which we both think were like not strong off the start, right? Like you know what I mean? They both struggle. Also, Amazon Prime Video, I feel like Amazon Prime Video would be a lot worse if it wasn't also just Amazon Prime. Does that make sense?
Right.
Like if it wasn't like, oh, Amazon Prime's great, I get free shipping, like then the Amazon Prime Video would be a shit show. Like there's no way that would do well if it wasn't just already packaged with that.
Right.
But you have those three, and then like HBO Max and Disney Plus like didn't have strong rollouts. HBO Max had a awful rollout. But we're talking about two streaming services that have an extremely large backbone behind them, which is fucking Disney and HBO. You know what I mean? Like we're talking about HBO, home of fucking Game of Thrones, like the biggest show. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
the biggest shows. And you have Disney, like home of everything Marvel, everything animated, everything. You know what I mean? Like Disney just owns a shit ton of everything, and they like struggled to come out and like and get a foothold in the market. And then some asshole was like, "Hey, I need $2 billion for 10-minute big budget movies," and they were like, "Yeah, fuck it. What are you talking about?"
And somebody gave it to them. That's what's crazy. It's like it's not, and it didn't, like, you know, so those have the giant corporations behind them. Usually, if you have like another app like Snapchat or Instagram, it starts small. It gets, it sort of proves itself, and then it gets the big bucks, and then eventually it's bought out.
Right.
I think what people resent is being like, "This is what gets $2 billion." Do you have any idea what we could buy with $2 billion? And I think the fact that it comes from not an established entity is what sort of rubs people the wrong way, right? Because if you go, we spent $2 billion on HBO Max, we go, well, yeah, you have all of the HBO shit, all of the Time Warner shit, all of Rick and Morty and South Park and all that shit, right? Same thing with Disney. But I think because it's like a new company, you go, what could you have ever given me that required that much money right off the bat, right?
Right. It's just like, it doesn't, none of it makes any sense to me. Like, I'm looking at this list of content, and it's like, here's the deal. If you're going to start something that new, that big of a budget, you need some flagpole, you know what I mean? Like this is the show you need to come for.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And this girl on Twitter, or this writer on Twitter, she said, jokingly, but it actually makes sense a little bit. She said they should have come out with a new, some sort of Shrek content. Like, literally.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people were like, that's very funny. But if you think about it, you're like, yeah. Like, literally, like some sort of hook of, I don't know, the fucking one animated movie that I think literally every single human has seen.
Right.
Like, yeah, like even if it's not good, you hook people with that. You're not hooking me with
something to point at
game,
and be like,
right?
this. You know what I mean?
Like the Mandalorian, yeah.
And also the thing about like the Mandalorian, right? Is it's still fucking Star Wars. Like if you're interested in Star Wars, you're gonna be like, oh, that I'm interested in that. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
Like even if I don't know anything about it, it doesn't even tie in. It's just like, oh, that's cool. It's Star Wars. Like Quibi didn't have anything like that. It was just like, nah, here's your Kevin Hart thing, here's your Sophie Turner thing, here's your fucking
right. It's like get it, Die Hard. All right, give me money.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yo, what do you think the pitch for that show was? They're like, all right, so Bruce Willis and Kevin Hart, and because Kevin Hart's last name is Hart, and Bruce Willis was in Die Hard, just called Die Hart, and someone was like, 300,000. Here you go.
Yeah. You're like, absolutely, yes, that sounds amazing.
Someone was like, fund it.
Fund it. Or more like, yeah, that sounds amazing, man. Yeah, go ahead, greenlight
it. They're like, Sophie Turner has a golden arm. Fund it.
But then, like I said, about what's it called? About
Chance
the Netflix
Rapper.
about get your money.
Fund it.
He loves his wife. Like when I see them get these Quibi commercials or Quibi shows, like Chrissy Teigen, I'm like, damn, they got you too. Well, I hope you appreciate that new Maserati. That sounds awesome, right? You got this money. You got the fucking Quibi money.
Right. Do you think anybody that got involved with that thought it was going to do well? Or do you think every single person that was like, I'll take that money? Like, do you think...
I literally do think...
was like, this could be great. Or do you think Kevin Hart was like, what amount of money? How many mil? I'll take it.
Yeah.
And it's only 10 minutes long, so I only got to film this shit for like half a day.
A day and a half.
In, bro.
Exactly. I think if I would assume that the higher ups probably thought that it was going to do well. But if I was just a guy working in, I'm thinking this is like the people who worked for the Michael Bloomberg campaign who literally expensed everything because there was just this unlimited coffer of money. And so they were like, yeah, I'll take $200,000. Let me give half of that to the Bernie Sanders campaign. Like,
yeah, Michael Bloomberg got took, bro.
Yeah. Oh, and good. I'm glad. I wish they would have taken him for more,
You remember when he was like, I'm going to go all in on making sure Donald Trump doesn't get elected, and then my man just disappeared off the face?
Yeah. Fucking Elizabeth Warren was like, get the fuck out of here.
Goofy piece of shit. And she was like,
you goofy little man. And then he just disappeared. He wasn't like, all right, well, that sucks, but, here's $1 million, Elizabeth, or here's $1 million, Biden.
Even after that, I feel like I remember hearing that he was going to, like after he dropped out, I feel like I heard that he was like, oh, I'm still going to, put forth my resources so that we can make sure Donald Trump doesn't get elected. But then my man was just like ghost.
Yeah, I mean, unless he's doing this sneakily like the Russians,
nah,
dude.
Not,
like,
bro.
What the fuck?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, no, there's no way.
But yeah, $2 billion.
Fucking Michael Bloomberg was probably $1 bill of it, bro.
Oh.
He's
like, God, take it again. And the thing is,
Yo, that's why he tried to run for president. He was like, "Fucking Quibi got me. I gotta
gotta get
recoup
back.
some of this."
The Michael Bloomberg campaign sponsored by Quibi.
Yo, I would.
What if he's like for my inauguration campaign, you cannot watch it on your regular TVs. You have to watch it on Quibi.
Yo, I would watch 10-minute glimpses into his fucking campaign, like the people like at the actual level doing the shit. Like,
Yes, only if they like fucking do like Jim from The Office looks into
bro,
the camera
exactly.
like
Michael Bloomberg walks by, they're like doing great, and they turn and look at the camera.
they like look at the camera like $30 for a sandwich. Don't mind if I do. Expense it.
Fucking Michael Bloomberg, bro. He's a clown.
Oh man,
bro. Whew. Oh, God, Michael Bloomberg.
Man.
That was
well,
great.
R.I.P. Quibi.
Yeah,
You're too
rip
good for this
Quibi
world.
2020 to 2020.
I will remember.
Oh, God. You know who else is going to remember? Every motherfucker that got a paycheck off of that. Holy
You know who?
shit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And you know who's fucking feeling dumb? The people who bought the app, because that shit was like $4.
What? Oh.
It wasn't
Like
a free
paying
app.
for it? Yeah.
You had to subscribe to Quibi.
Yo, who's... Dude, there's no way. There's no way somebody was like 10-minute shows. Yeah, I'll pay $5 for it.
I would love
like,
I would love to meet a person who bought like a subscription or the app and just talk to them. Just be like what were you thinking getting into this? Like what
if you
what was
subscribe to
going through your
Quibi, you can reach us directly at Different Animals Podcast.
Exactly. Did you know that you could buy coffee with the money that you use to this? Like, you know, coffee's good, right? Like it tastes good
You
and
could have bought 1 gallon of gas. And then poured it on yourself and set yourself on fire because you spent another $4 on Quibi, bro. Oh my God. Whew. Oh boy. Subscription analytics firm Antenna reported that 27% of Quibi day one trial users renewed their trials. Whew, that's higher than I thought. If I'm being honest, that like
who are these 27%?
Yeah, 1/4 of the people that downloaded the fucking trial. I need the number of that. In July 2020, Sensor Tower reported that 8% of their early wave users had converted into paying subscribers. That seems more reasonable. Oh God. And he told them to listen. I read that he told everyone there to listen to a song from Trolls to try and stay upbeat about the company closing.
Yikes.
That's so terrible, bro. Oh God. The app had fallen out of the top 1,000 apps on their rankings in like a month.
1,000.
You weren't even in the top 1,000.
What is the 1,000th app?
Right? Oh my God. So, yeah, what is the 1,000 app?
It's probably like the sign in for like the people who make pens or something. What is it? The ball-teen?
Yeah.
Bic? It's probably the Bic. It's probably like the big app. Get your lighters and your pens here.
Directly order them off your phone.
That's the 1,000th app, and $2 billion is below that.
Oh, that's $2 billion is below. So you know how many big pens I could have bought with that money? Oh, God. All right. Do you have anything else you want to touch on before we roll out?
No, that was just that. Just good night, sweet prince.
Ah, boy, Quibi. God, I'm so happy I was right on that one. Like, the moment I read what it was, I was like, there's no way. There's no way this is going to work. And to think there was $2 billion behind it, bro. What? Yo, somebody put fucking $2 billion down on this podcast. Hey, we might not crack the top 1,000, but neither did Quibi, baby. Oh, God. All right, well, that's the episode, guys. If you want to catch me, you can catch me at TMoneybags on Instagram and Twitter.
And I'm at EverCastro92 on Instagram.
And if you subscribe to Quibi or just want to talk to us, you can email us directly at differentanimalspodcast@gmail.com. Any feedback is appreciated. Spread it, word of mouth. All would be appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
So stay safe, stay entertained, and we will catch you guys next week.
See you guys.
Peace.
Oh yeah.
In honor of Thanksgiving being underrepresented in movies, I'm going to bring up the time it was represented in music, which is that Kanye West said, and hey, maybe we made it to Thanksgiving, so hey, maybe we can make it to Christmas. She asked me what I wish for on my wish list. Have you ever asked your bitch for other bitches?